Hey, it's April, and today I'm going to be turning this Deuce Gorgon doll into Marrow, my wintry demon character. First, he needs some wire anchors. And now we can start sculpting. The cute smiley expression doesn't really suit Marrow, so instead I'm going to be adjusting the mouth area to give him a more melancholic look. Add some horns. The back horns weren't quite long enough, so I pulled them off and added another layer underneath. Give him some pointy ears. I marked where I wanted the hole to be in his arm, and then I used a Dremel to cut out the pieces. Now to sculpt the details. I drew out the shape for the end of his tail on a piece of paper and made an armature out of wire and a bead with some holes drilled in the sides. Initially, I was going to use the little templates to cut out the shapes, but that didn't really work out, so instead I shaped it all directly onto the wire. For the rest of the tail pieces, I rolled out some little cylinders and pressed them into the beads. That way everything should fit together really nicely when it's strung. I drilled a hole into his back and then sculpted around it, that way the tail will be super easy to attach later. Once all the pieces were cured, I drilled holes through the middle and then added some scratches and bumps to make them look a little bit more organic, and added some spikes to a couple of the beads. Making use of some cling film again so that the shoulder piece doesn't stick to the plastic. To make his shoes, I start by drawing around the stock shoe onto some craft foam. Widen the outline, stack the pieces, and glue them to the shoe. Mix up some PVA glue and glitter, and coat the foam, strengthen it, and give the epoxy something to stick to. Now to sculpt. Now that everything's cured and sanded, I can paint with acrylics. Map out his face with watercolour pencils. And blush with soft pastels. With the body blushing, I wanted it to be really dramatic. I was going for a sort of frostbitten meets that fiery glow that dragons get in their chest and belly. I wasn't really sure on the best way to add 3D snow, but I thought that glue and white glitter would be a good place to start. I then painted over it with acrylics to dull the sparkle. And I think it worked pretty well, to be honest. Definitely looks crusty and cold. Can't forget the eyeglass. For his industrial piercing, I glued a piece of metal in his ear, dipped some hemming pins in chrome lacquer, and then I'll cut them off and glue them in place later. I don't want to cloud up the paint job with the hairstyling. I also used steel wire to make a nose ring and a couple of earrings. His clothes are all really raggedy and stained, so I'm going to start by cutting up some shorts I made. And a big oversized jacket. I added a couple of extra fabric flaps at the front for maximum drama. Now to paint everything. Originally, I was going to use dye for this, but I wanted it to look kind of messy and stained, not a nice gradient, so paint seemed more practical. I did use a bunch of paint thinner though, so that the fabric won't get too stiff. The paint sort of increased the jacket's durability as well, because it strengthened some of the little torn pieces that were really flimsy before. When I put the jacket on the doll, I really wasn't feeling the hood, it just looked really clunky, so I cut it off and replaced it with a chunky collar instead. Lastly, I randomly glued some strips of fabric together to make this overlay thing. I don't know what to call it, but yeah. Using brushed yarn for the hair, I glue the wefts to the scalp. And then style with hot water with a little bit of glue mixed in. This may look speedy, but it honestly took all day. Final thing left is his tail. I braided a bunch of anchor threads in different shades of red. Then attach the tail tip by supergluing the knot of the thread into the tail hole. Slide on the remaining pieces. And we have a tail. I really like how the pieces of red peeking through kind of look like sinews or something. It's kind of cool. Glue the thread into the hole in his back. And he's finished. Let me know what you think.